Well, hello YouTube, and a warm welcome to the Essentially Crypto channel. My name is Ian, and as always, I'm your host. Now, for those of you who know me already, I haven't been doing a lot of videos lately, purely because I've been doing live streams all the time, because there have been so many drops, and I like to do a little live stream every single drop, give you guys a chance to have a chat and all that kind of thing, and also you get to win a free NFT. So if you haven't joined me on the live streams, then please feel free to do that on the next one, because it's been Marvel month at the moment, and they've been going crazy. But anyway, I digress, because I thought that so many new people were coming into OMI because of all the Marvel news and that kind of thing, that I go through a little bit of a what's good and what's bad about OMI, and also talk to you about how it's going to change over a period of maybe the next month or so. So I guess this video will sort of be obsolete by that point. But let's have a look anyway and see what's going on in the world of OMI. So the first thing, let's start off with the bad, shall we? Now, the main thing about the bad is the 750 billion tokens. Yes, you heard that right. 750 billion tokens were minted. Now, here's the thing about that, and that is that there's not 750 billion in circulating supply. So, therefore, it's kind of good news. Firstly, is there's 300 billion that are locked up in the reserve wallet, and that basically runs in the background of the app, and that keeps everything running and everything on the blockchain. Then you've got 40 billion that are inside the Vault wallet. So you've got the reserve and the Vault wallet, so you add those two together. And then you've also got 97 billion, I believe, that were just locked up by mistake and are therefore not accessible. So then if you sort of equate that to what's going on at the moment, you've got the circulating supply. Now, whatever that is at this moment in time, your best thing to do is to go to CoinMarketCap and check that out. Because the other thing is they've also got the token unlocks as well. And that is happening every quarter. And in total, it will be 75 billion over a period of time. And we'll get to that in a few moments' time. But basically, although there is 750 billion tokens available, there isn't that many actually in circulating supply. So you can rest assured that's the case. And also, every time something is bought on the app, there's a burn of OMI. So it is a deflationary supply. But it's a little bit more complicated than that. And if you want to see the exact details of that, then you can check out another video, which I will leave at the end of this video, so you can see exactly how the burn works and all that kind of thing. But for now, let's move on to the next thing, because we've got other things to talk about as well. So the next thing is that they're not NFTs. A lot of people have been saying they're not NFTs, they're not real NFTs because they're not interoperable. I can't take them from there to there. Now, there's two good things about this, or there's a few good things and a few bad things. First thing is that people say they're not NFTs. Well, strictly speaking, they are because they're on the blockchain. However, they are in a walled garden, which means that everything is there. So it's kind of like centralized, I suppose. So essentially, they're not NFTs because they're not decentralized and you can do what you like with them. However, we are moving over to Immutable X. At the moment, we are on GoChain. So this means that we're very structured as to what we can do on GoChain, that kind of thing. And then by the end of this month, apparently they're in testing phase at the moment. It's going to move over to Immutable X. So this means that they open up OpenSea and a few other places as well, because OpenSea is already on Immutable X. So it should be fairly easy to transport your NFTs to OpenSea if you wanted to. It kind of seems to be the place that everyone likes to put their NFTs to sell and all that kind of thing. And people can buy them with Ethereum. Obviously, it makes it easier. And because we're going to be on Immutable X, it means that we're essentially Ethereum as well. We're essentially Ethereum layer 2. So therefore, it opens up a whole world of possibilities, and it also means that people can start calling them NFTs. Now, the reason they don't call them NFTs, incidentally, they call them digital collectibles, is because when they started going to licensors and talking about them, nobody knew what NFTs were. So therefore, they had to explain it in a way that people would understand, which is digital collectibles. And also, it means that the licensors were happier to understand what was going on. And in some cases, licensors are not going to allow you to take them from VV anyway. Now, we don't know which ones you can and can't take, so I guess that's kind of the bad thing. But we will find out in due course, of course. And also, when we do find out, then some of them you'll be able to take to OpenSea and some will be inoperable, depending on the licensor themselves. But because of the fact that when others see other licensors see other licensors do it, and they see when they get sort of money back in return and that kind of thing, then maybe they'll start thinking it's a great idea and they will understand it better. Because every time something is sold for Marvel, for instance, they get a reward for it being sold as well. They get a piece of the pie, so to speak, which is kind of one of the things that NFTs is great for artists, because they get like a royalty, I suppose, if you want to say that. They get a royalty back when everything is sold, and that's exactly what's going to happen with Marvel. So if they were to allow it to go onto OpenSea, if it was to sell for a lot of money, then, you know, maybe they would get that royalty and therefore they would understand what's the point of it. So we will find out more about that when Immutable X is finished and when we do the token changeover, that kind of thing, and therefore we will know more details. But at the moment, as it stands, although they're not officially NFTs, they still are, but they're not interoperable at the moment, and they will be very soon when we change to Immutable X. So the next thing, this is a very big piece of fun, and that is that targets never hit. In other words, the team will say, okay, we've got this happening on Tuesday, and then come Tuesday, nothing happens. And that's happened a few times, but to be fair, in a lot of the times when they've said these things, a lot of the time it's out of their control and it's not their fault. And the main reason for this is that they are working with massive IPs, they're working with massive licenses, and a lot of the time these licenses will say, okay, we don't want that to happen on that day. And then they've got no choice. Also, in one of the cases, they were supposed to go on an exchange in May. It's very famous now with David Yu saying May. And what happened was the exchange got a bit confused and they thought that they were doing Ethereum, but in actual fact it was GoChain and they weren't ready for it to go on. So therefore it never happened in the end. So therefore, you know, that's some of the reasons that they don't hit the targets and people are then sort of losing faith in the team, as they say. But I think the way it seems to work is in any business, there's always setbacks that happen. And in this case, what's happened is when the setbacks have happened, they've always delivered on their promises anyway. Now, the Marvel was the big news that was going to be delivered, and it was delivered a few months later, but it still got delivered at the end of the day. So these things are all happening in the background, and we don't know the exact ins and outs of them. But what we do know is when they say something is going to happen, usually that means it's going to happen. Whether it be slightly later, it's still going to happen. And, you know, I've seen countless projects as well in crypto that have said, oh, this is going to happen, and then it's delayed. And it's just the way it is. You've got to get used to it, and, you know, maybe it's going to happen again in the future or more. But I know for definite they have started not talking about exact dates now and just saying in a few weeks' time or whatever, so that way people don't get their hopes up as much about what's going to happen. So here's the next thing, and that is whales. Whales are manipulating the market. Now, this is true in all cryptos anyway. And one of the main reasons that it's probably true in this sort of situation is that we're not on many exchanges. So as it stands, when you're not on many exchanges, the liquidity is low. So therefore, just one big sell or one big buy can manipulate the market massively. And that is people's idea that there's specific whales that are manipulating the market. It may be true, it may be false, I don't know. But either way, that's something that people have been talking about a lot. So could you say that it's something that is different to other cryptos? No, there's always whales manipulating it. And as they get more exchanges, then obviously it means that it's going to be harder for the whales to manipulate the market. And if you get in nice and early on these early exchanges, then when we go to the bigger exchanges and the whales can't be manipulated, then you will essentially be in the same situation as them anyway. Because the newer people coming in will be buying in at a higher price than you, which means that you can kind of manipulate the market. But obviously not to a big extent, but you know what I mean. So the point is that what I'm getting at is there's whales in every crypto anyway, and as soon as we hit more exchanges and there's more liquidity, then that will be sorted out. Simple as that. Burns are in the reserve only. Now, this is very true. This is true. Now, I say this every time I do a video, but some people still say, nobody told me they were from the reserve only. Now, there's actually websites out there, some very good websites, and I will put them on the screen now, so you can see that these websites actually tell you the exact burns that are happening. Now, these burns don't really matter, but they kind of do as well. For a start, they help with the morale. Secondly, it really is the OMI token that's being burnt. So therefore, when these burns are happening, the tokens are being burnt, but they are being burnt from a reserve supply. However, when this reserve supply gets to a certain amount, which we don't know what it is exactly, and they don't tell us because of manipulation, that kind of thing, what they do is they look in and they go, oh, that needs topping up, and they go to the exchange and they buy off the exchange the tokens they need to top up the reserve wallet. So therefore, in essence, the burns do make a difference, because it basically means that the burns that happen in the reserve wallet, it means that the buybacks will happen slightly quicker. So if we get more burn in the reserve wallet, the buybacks themselves will be quicker. That's basically the only reason. Now, you could say that you don't need to know exact numbers and everything because you will never be able to work it out, which is very true. Now, incidentally, they have done 2 buybacks already. One was for 40 million and one was for something else. And that obviously, helped to stabilize prices or whatever it did. Now, I'm not saying it's going to make prices rocket or anything like that. That's not going to happen. If nobody was buying OMI or if nobody was staking OMI and doing all the other things that are coming, then obviously it's not going to make a huge difference, the buybacks, but it does make a difference for morale, and and it also makes a difference that the token is deflationary, essentially. So therefore, the circulating supply will go down when those buybacks happen. And as I said, 2 buybacks have already happened. They're on pause at the moment because there's a lot of legal issues with them, but they are going to start back up again. And when they do, and more people are buying NFTs, every time you buy an NFT, 10% minus app fees, incidentally, minus app fees and all fees that are associated with it, goes towards the buyback fund. And then that buyback fund is taken and they are bought off the exchange. So, and again, if you want to know a little bit more about the exact mechanics of that, then I have another video out, which I will link at the end of this video. So here's the next thing, and that is the token unlocks. We already sort of talked a little bit about it with the 750 billion. There's 300 billion in the reserve, and there's 40 billion in the Vault wallet. Now there is also going to be token unlocks every 3 months. Or every quarter, I guess that's every 3 months, or maybe it's every 4 months. Well, anyway, every quarter, they will be unlocking tokens for the team, okay? And that is for up to 12-month period. So, and it's a total of 75 billion tokens. So obviously those tokens will go into the circulating supply. However, none of the team have actually sold any of their tokens as yet. So therefore, you know, it's not like the team are just going to dump all their tokens all of a sudden and the whole thing is going to go down, because why would they? If you think about it, this is their business, this is their legacy. At the end of the day, they're making money from these NFTs. If they were to suddenly dump all their tokens and OMI price was to rocket downwards, then it means that nobody would have faith in the NFTs anymore or anything like that, and the whole business will be completely gone. So it's not a pump and dump scam. It's not like one where they're going to say, oh, we're going to do this, this and this, and then as soon as you put your token in, it goes straight away down. It doesn't work like that. Basically, what's going to happen is, even though they're going to have some tokens unlocked, they haven't sold them in droves. And even if they do sell them, don't you think they deserve to have a little bit of, a little bit of money themselves for being able to do all the work they did beforehand on the token and on the NFTs and all that kind of stuff, when they were probably not getting paid much or very little, and now they've got their tokens, and that is the way they get their money back, essentially. So, I think that the way it's working is, as long as they don't sell them all in one swift motion, then there's no reason why they shouldn't have tokens unlocked. It's just like having shares in a business or something like that. Sooner or later they're going to have to sell them at some point, I guess, but as long as they sell them in little drips and drabs as they go along, then I don't have a problem with it. As well, you shouldn't, because at the end of the day, they're entitled to their tokens just like you're entitled to yours as well. So let's have a look at some of the good, shall we? Because that was some of the bad, but I kind of turned it to good as well, just so you know sort of where they're going with it. But the first thing to me is that the NFTs are absolutely amazing. Like, compared to other ones on the market, if you see some of these other ones that are going for hundreds of thousands of ETH or whatever, they are far superior to those, without a doubt. These are 3D models that you can put in the VV app. You can use them in AR and you can use them in VR if you want to, if you've got virtual goggles or whatever. When wearable technology comes out, they're going to be able to be used in that. You've got your showrooms. You can put your thing in your showroom. You can look around your showroom. You can get people to go into your showroom. Maybe in the future, you'll be able to charge people to come in your showroom. More about that later in Master Collector. But these NFTs are so much better than the ones are out at the moment. A lot of the ones that are out at the moment are just 2D pictures, and people are paying hundreds of pounds for these things. So therefore, it stands to reason that when these NFTs go onto OpenSea, some of the ones they've got already, people are going to be paying a lot more for them. So I think that the Immutable X is going to change things massively, and the NFTs that they have, people are going to see them. People are going to see these brands. That is the issue right there. A lot of these NFTs that are being bought at the moment, like the Bored Ape Yacht Club, they're great and everything, but they're not a brand. People don't know of them. If I said to, a friend of mine, oh, what do you think of the Bored Apes? He'd be like, what? Whereas if I said to him, hey, what do you think of Captain America Marvel as an NFT? Then even if he doesn't know what an NFT is, he'll know what Captain America Marvel is. And that is the whole thing, isn't it, really? So therefore, they've got all of these brands. They had the foresight to go out and get these brands on board before releasing NFTs. So therefore, they've got Marvel, they've got Jurassic Park, they've got, just to name a few. I'll put the list of the ones they've got. They've got over 200 different brands that are now going to be coming up in the period of time of doing this over the next few years or whatever, So, and we are really early in this. Like, we've only had just a few of the IPs released already. Some of the big ones, obviously Marvel. It's Marvel month at the moment. We've had DC Comics released already. We've had a few other ones, Powderpuff Girls. We've had all of these ones, and a lot of these NFTs, when you buy them, have automatically just rocketed in price. Now, I'm not saying they rocketed as much as, as some of the Bored Apes and that kind of thing, but again, they're not on OpenSea, that kind of thing. So when we can take them to there, who knows what's going to happen. It's going to be interesting to see, and I, for one, am very excited. But even if you don't want to take them to OpenSea, if you just want to use them in the VV platform itself, and of course the VVverse is coming as well, so you'll be able to use your NFTs in the VVverse as well. So let's go on to the next thing, shall we? And that is the smaller exchanges. We're only on smaller exchanges at the moment. So therefore, it means that, you know, in terms of the liquidity and all that kind of thing, there's only a small amount of exchanges, which means that it's not on Binance, it's not on the ones that people know, you know, the ones that you associate, you know, Coinbase, that kind of thing. We're not on those exchanges yet. Now, you usually see that when things go onto those exchanges, there's a massive pump because of the fact that more people have the availability to be able to buy them, because a lot of people don't want to go and sign up with other exchanges. It's not their thing. You know, I personally signed up with Bit4X when it first came out so I could buy OMI. That was the only reason. And, you know, I use it occasionally now, but apart from that, I mainly use the normal ones that everybody uses. Well, not everybody's going to want to do that. Some people don't want to buy anything unless it's on Robinhood. Some people don't want to buy anything unless it's on Binance. So therefore, when we move to those bigger exchanges, it means there's going to be a lot more people wanting to buy it, and it means that the price is going to go up, obviously. So that's the great thing, is that you're in early. If you get on these smaller exchanges that are in at the moment, then when the bigger exchanges come in, then at least you've got it at a price that you would like. And at the moment, it's a really good price. It's on sale for sure, without a doubt. This is going back to almost the price that I bought in at originally way back in February, before it had a massive pump because we were going on Uniswap. Well, Uniswap didn't turn out to be the best thing in the world for us, unfortunately. So we then started dropping. But, you know, when we get on bigger exchanges especially, and to be honest, we don't really need exchanges, and I'll explain more about that in a little bit. So the next thing is the buybacks. I already touched on the buybacks as well. This is a great thing because obviously not only for morale, but also for increasing the price of the token. Now, it's not going to rocket, as I said, but the good thing is that when the reserve wallet gets low, they do the buybacks, and they do that from 10% minus app fees and all that kind of thing of all of the collectibles that are sold in store. Now, there is no buyback fund for the secondary market. Okay, that's important to know. There is a 2.5% burn in the secondary market, but that comes out of the reserve. But there's no buyback fund for that. The only buyback fund is from the original 10% of the collectibles minus app fees. Okay, so therefore those buybacks all go into a wallet, and then at a later date when the reserve gets low, they then buy back that from the exchange, which of course increases the amount of or the amount of burn. Well, not the amount of burn, I suppose. Well, yes, no, it is essentially. It's like a big whale, basically, buying off the exchange, but one that never sells, because essentially those tokens, once they're bought, they're pretty much burnt because they're just sent to a wallet where nobody can get them. So therefore, we're essentially burning tokens. It is a deflationary supply. So next up, carbon neutral. This is a big one as well. A lot of people are talking about NFTs, especially some, you know, sort of in the news and that kind of thing, and saying how NFTs are bad for the environment because of the fact, you know, like just Bitcoin mining and all that kind of thing. People are talking about the carbon neutrality side of it. Well, these NFTs are actually carbon neutral. On the Immutable X chain, everything is carbon neutral, so we don't have to worry about that, which means that VV can then display that on their advertising and all that kind of thing. And those people who are really worried about the environment don't have to be anymore because they are carbon neutral. OMI to NFT, it's another thing that's coming very, very soon. Now, this is kind of a little bit of a change for those who know me from way back. You'll know that I was talking a lot about gems to OMI. That was my thing. That was the thing that I knew was going to be the burn. That was going to be the burn of everything, and it was going to be absolutely crazy. Unfortunately, they stopped that. The reason they stopped that is because they realized they weren't going to make any money from it, because they wouldn't. Because when you buy OMI off the exchange, you then change it to gems. You can then spend it in the store. It means you could buy anything you wanted, and it would essentially be free to you. Obviously, you've paid for the money on the exchange, but Ecomi themselves wouldn't have made any money from it, which is why they had to change it. So they changed it now to OMI to NFT, which basically means now you can buy OMI on the exchange, and then you can buy NFTs directly. Now, why is it different to the OMI to gems? I hear you ask. Well, the main reason it's different is because not all of the VV products will be available to buy with OMI. That's the only difference, really. So whereas before you could buy everything with gems, and therefore you transfer your OMI to gems and then you can buy everything, now you will be able to buy a certain proportion of NFTs with OMI. But the great thing is that they're probably going to offer incentives to buy with OMI as well. So therefore people will be able to go in, just a normal Joe Public, and they'll be able to say, oh, if I buy that with OMI, I get 20% off. So therefore they decide to buy OMI. Now, you might be thinking, well, how do they buy OMI? Well, that is the cool thing that's coming up very, very soon, which I'll explain in just a second. In fact, let's explain that now. No, we're going to go to the next one, which is MCP and staking. This is Master Collector Program and staking. Now, this is all coming very, very soon as well. Now, we don't know the exact details of it, but Master Collector is basically the idea is that the more you collect, the more rewards you get. Now, we don't know the exact rewards you get, but probably some of the rewards are going to be things like you'll only be able to participate in certain drops. You'll have certain things in your showroom, for instance, that will be different. Like if you're a massive Batman fan, you might get access to a Batcave of some kind, so therefore you can put all your Batman collectibles in there. So that'll be a showroom that they'll offer you as a Master Collector thing. So therefore, if you've got all the Batman characters, in they go into the Batcave. Whereas if you don't have any Batman, then you just won't get offered that. Things like that. So there's little things that will be for certain people who have certain things, and then there'll be other things for people who prefer collecting something else, because at the end of the day, not everybody can collect everything. And now, at the moment, it seems to be going that way because pretty much everything sells out very, very fast, like within a few seconds, generally. However, obviously, in the future, when there's a lot more drops, as we're seeing over this Marvel month, there's a lot more drops. There's like, 2 or 3 a week or something like that. And it's a lot of money for these drops. So therefore, people are starting to sort of filter off and go for things that they really want and pass on certain things. And that's great, because that means that not everybody has to buy everything. And it means that the people who want to buy certain things will get to buy them. And that's the same with Master Collector. You'll collect the thing that you want to collect, and you'll get rewarded by the things that you want to collect. But also, you may have, a certain amount of seconds before a drop or something like that you can get in early, or it might just be specific drops specifically for the collectibles that you collect. There's also other options as well that they may take into consideration, but we don't know the exact details of the Master Collector until it comes out, but it's coming out very, very soon, and I believe it's on David Yu's desk as we speak at the moment for him to start, rolling it out and deciding what's going on with it. In terms of staking, now a lot of people want to stake all the time for tokens. Now, unfortunately, they're not going to be able to do it exactly in that way because of the fact that if they were to stake for tokens, then they become a security, and then they've got the risk of being investigated, and then obviously our investments go down the toilet, which we don't want to happen. And they're very, very hot. This is one good thing about OMI as well, and Vivi, is they're very, very hot on keeping to regulations. So what they're going to do, instead of you staking the OMI token somehow and then receiving more token in return for it, what they're going to do is they're going to give you something in return. So basically you work inside the app and you return with something, maybe a golden gem or something like that. That gem will be worth OMI, and then you can then sell that on to get your OMI back. So essentially you're still going to be earning OMI for staking. However, the difference is that you'll get all rewarded gems or something like that you can use in-app or in-app currency, so that way they're not officially giving you anything in return and becoming a security. So this is the thing I was talking about here as well, and that is that the MTL for OMI. Now, basically, this is the MTL. This is the money transfer license. This is on its way very, very soon. Now, this means basically that you can buy and sell your collectibles, and you will be able to cash out. At the moment, you cannot cash out. Incidentally, that was a bad that I did forget to put at the beginning there, and that is that you cannot cash out at the moment. So a lot of people are buying these things and saying, well, I'm stuck with it now, that's it. And it is kind of annoying. However, there are ways to cash out. You can go through eBay if you want to, and you can also go through Telegram and, Facebook and various sources where there's, social media where people are allowing you to buy and sell. Now, the issue with those is that Vivi do not recognize those as sources of buying and selling. So if you have any issues with those, then you're kind of on your own in that sense, but pretty much just like any other crypto, really. The good news is that even still, some people got collectibles stolen, people got hacked and all that kind of thing towards the beginning before there was 2FA, and they still managed to, sort it out. They were a great company. They went above and beyond, and they actually relinquished some of their own collectibles to give to people who had their collectibles stolen. So, therefore, I don't think you can say that they're not trying to please the community as best they can. But the MTL, basically the money transfer license, will give you the option to be able to cash out. And that is going to be key, I think. When people come in, they see they can cash out, they will then more likely to buy something thinking, well, I can cash out at a later date. And that is going to be huge when that comes out in the next few weeks as well. The great thing is that all this stuff that I'm talking about is coming out in the next few weeks. So, or maybe months. You know, I don't know exactly when it is. They didn't give exact details of it. They said that it's coming. And, you know, if they were to give exact details, then you could go back to the original bad, which is that the team never meet deadlines. So therefore, they're not going to say exact deadlines, but this stuff is coming. Now, the good thing about the MTL as well, which is an absolutely major thing, and that is that it turns VV itself into an exchange. So we don't no longer have to worry about the Binance and the Coinbases and all that kind of thing, because if people come onto the app and they can use the MTL to facilitate a transfer from the exchange, it means that when they want to buy things like shelving units and things like that, you know, for their showroom, or maybe they just want to buy a specific collectible in OMI, all they have to do is go through the MTL, which is already integrated in the app, and then that will facilitate an exchange on, or facilitate a buy on the exchange itself, which in turn makes the supply go down. And then they use that OMI to buy something which will then be burnt. And then once that's burnt, that in turn is making the deflationary supply again. So therefore, there's a lot of cool stuff coming with the MTL. We've only got to wait for it. It's all coming. One thing I forgot to put on the good as well is the VVverse. Of course, how can we miss the VVverse? It is going to be a metaverse inside the app itself. Or it's going to be a metaverse that you can walk around as a VV person, essentially. So, therefore, we don't know the finer details of it. We know there's going to be a VV city because Dan spoke about it earlier. And we also know that there's going to be your own showrooms and they're going to be linked together. There's going to be ways to travel around. There's going to be gamification as well. So, there's going to be some kind of, you know, basic gamification for the master collector and that kind of thing, but also games inside the VVverse. So will we be able to, you know, drive our remote control cars around? Will we be able to drive around in the VVverse to go from one house to another in our common DeLoreans? Who knows what's coming? But all this stuff is coming. And the reason I say who knows what's coming, and one of the big things that you got to remember about whether or not you decide to invest in OMI or VV as a platform is this, and that is you are early. Without a doubt, you are early. There's nothing that's like this in the cryptosphere at the moment at all. You've got metaverses, yes, but you don't have digital collectibles that are selling out within seconds. You know, even the NFTs that are out at the moment, these ones are IP branded digital collectibles that sell out within seconds. We've got a massive user base, which is even bigger than OpenSea and that kind of thing. So when we do go to OpenSea, when we go to interoperability with Immutable X and that kind of thing, you know, you're so early on right now. If you get in OMI, it's just ridiculous. But there you go. So hopefully I've gone over the good and the bad. You know, I see the bad news or the bad stuff that people are saying all the time. It's not really that bad, to be honest. Considering some other cryptos where you may buy them and then it turns out to be a pump and dump and then you lose all your money. The only bad stuff really is being fixed as we speak. And as I said, you are very, very early. But that is the trouble with getting in early. You know, I got in early in the app in sort of February time, well, a little bit before that, and there was a lot of things that went wrong when they were doing the drops. There was a lot of things that happened. You know, some secret rares got given out because of the fact that certain things went wrong with their ability to be able to handle a lot of people coming in. Things were crashing, that kind of thing. Well, that is all behind us now. Now they get thousands and thousands of people able to buy their collectibles in just 2 or 3 seconds, and then they're sold out completely. So really the only bad is that you can't get the collectibles that you want because there's so many people coming into the app. But apart from that, you know, it's all good news for OMI holders, because when we get these new exchanges, when we get Immutable X, when we get the MTL, when we get all these things, this is going to make this token rocket. And even though there's a massive supply, it is a deflationary token at the end of the day. So the longer you hold it, the more chance you've got of making yourself a decent bit of money. And because it's pretty much on sale at the moment at like really, it's like 0.003 or something like that. You know, just a small investment into OMI token is going to yield high returns in the end. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this little rundown of why I think it's a good reason to hold the OMI token, the good and the bad, and, you know, well, whatever you think, it's up to you. Put in the comments what you think down below. Give me a yes if you're going to buy OMI token, or give me a yes if you hold it, or maybe put some rockets in the thing. Put some rockets in there, why not? Because I think we're going to the moon at some stage. So put some rockets in the comments for me. Let me know what you think of this video, and let me know what you think of OMI in general. And maybe I've missed some points. Maybe I missed some good, maybe I missed some bad. Let me know what you think in the comments. and I will see you on the next video. But as remember, don't take this as financial advice in any way, shape or form. You know, I'm saying here that I think it's a good investment, but that's because I've personally invested in it and I like the idea of it. I've tried to give you a broad view of what's good and bad about it, but that doesn't mean to say it's good for you in person. So therefore, do your own research, make sure you decide if it is good for you, and don't take my advice as financial advice in any way, shape or form, because as with all crypto, it can go up and it can make you loads and loads of money, which we hope it does, but it can also go down and it can make you lose everything you've put into it. But that in a nutshell is essentially crypto. Thank you very much for joining me. I'll see you on the next video. Bye bye for now.